We like to joke about the dystopian novels we read in the past or stories created by great thinkers and then reference them to today's events. But there are some things we just didn't predict for the most part. I think it's fair to say V for Vendetta did have within its core story the St. Mary's virus. But they didn't have the vaccine mandate stuff like we're seeing now. And boy, is it getting creepy. In Germany, there's a video of an elderly woman being detained by police because she does not have her papers. German police sound familiar? Walk up to an old lady and say, "Papers, please." And she's like, "I don't have my Vax passport on me." And they grab her. They're yelling at her. It's creepy. The Nazis are back. In Australia, boy, Quillette is stinking up something fierce, angry that Majid Nawaz and I have criticized their concentration camps. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that a little too hyperbolic? Well, when you take people from their homes without due process and imprison them with threats of fines or other penalties, yeah, I'm going to be a little hyperbolic. Internment camp. How about we call it that? In Los Angeles. Or, I'm sorry, from NBC Los Angeles. Mom says son vaccinated in exchange for pizza at LAUSD without her consent. Jennifer Kennedy, an attorney who is following closely the two cases against LAUSD over the vaccine mandate currently making their way through the court, said the problem is that kids in California can't consent to vaccination, so they secretly do it behind your back. There's also been, I think, hundreds of stories of children getting adult-sized doses of the vaccine. Oops. Yeah, I think that was at Walgreens. It's creepy stuff. Videos out of Austria of cops walking up to random people and demanding their papers. It's getting dark, and it's getting dark fast. And I wonder what the true motives of these elites are. And I certainly think it's not just about COVID. Now we've got this story out of Forbes. Check this out. Will Omicron change what fully vaccinated means? BioNTech CEO says full vaccine regimen against variant is 3 doses, not 2. Does that mean 6? Some people have said, in response to what the CEO said, is that it's six doses. And what that means is you'll have gotten your 2 doses for COVID alpha, followed by your booster shot for, efficacy, boosting the efficacy. But then Omicron is going to need its own vaccine. And the CEO said the Omicron vaccine will be 3 doses. Now, is he saying that you need 3 doses of the original vaccine or you need 3 doses of the new vaccine? That's a very important distinction. It was always obvious what was going to happen because the vaccine cards had 4 places to write about your vaccinations. Not 1, not 2, 4. So this is obvious. Let's take a look at what's going on with the taking of people's children. NBC LA reports Maribel Duarte says her 13-year-old son, a student at the Barack Obama Global Prep Academy in South LA, brought home a vaccine card after having accepted the COVID-19 vaccine at school. She says he said yes when someone offered it in exchange for pizza. Amazing. The lady that gave him the shot and signed the paper told my son, "Please don't say anything. I don't want to get in trouble." These people are evil. You need to understand the banality of evil. Some say, we've talked about this on timcast.rl, that it simply means that evil is commonplace. Yeah. Is that it? The banality of evil was a reference to how Nazi Germany, how they did these things, how they violated people's rights. But I'll tell you this right now, man. The greatest generation, the people who knew what freedom meant, who liked this country, who believed in America, they're going away. They're aging out. Many of them, there's very few left, to be completely honest. Now, baby boomers retain some of those values, but it's mostly disappearing. The silent generation, I'm not sure how much they care, but they do retain some of these values. And so we are ultimately seeing the values that kept this country safe and defeated the Nazis being stripped away. And there are people who are championing communism. And now you're going to see, man, in the future. I'm not confident. So part of me is optimistic that at least we here in the U.S. will be able to retain our values and persist, but not unless you have kids and teach your kids. And hey, I don't have kids. So there are a lot of issues I see in this. But let's first talk about what's going on with this kid and what they're doing, what's going on with the vaccine against the parents' will. The LAUSD says student matters are confidential and wouldn't comment specifically, but did say its Safe Schools to Safe Steps incentive program is meant to ensure several steps are in place for vaccinated students to receive prizes. Duarte says she's not against the vaccine. She's vaccinated herself, but it's different with her son. He has problems with asthma and allergy problems, she said. Jennifer Kennedy, an attorney who is following closely the two cases against the LAUSD over the vaccine mandate currently making their way through court, said the problem is that kids in California can't consent. Both are ultimately seeking an end to the mandate. The LAUSD does not have the power to add a vaccine to the California school schedule, she said. You couldn't do it if you were a podunk school district, and you can't do it if you're LAUSD, second largest district in the nation. You don't have that legal authority. In California, school vaccines are handled through the State Department of Public Health and created into law through the state legislature. The LAUSD says, as of the Thanksgiving break, 80% of eligible students at Obama Prep have been vaccinated. It hurt to know he got a shot without my permission, without knowing, and without signing any papers for him to get the shot. The LAUSD has mandated a January 10th vaccination for all students age 12 and above. Those who don't get it and don't have a legal exemption will be forced back into virtual online learning. It almost sounds like it was planned and very specific and obvious. First, they tell everybody we're locking you down. Everybody hates it. Life is miserable. Then they say, okay, we're going to let everybody come out. Everybody come back out. Your businesses have been destroyed, but Walmart and Amazon are doing better than ever. Then they say, okay, nope, sorry, everyone, you got to go back home. But if you get the vaccine, you don't got to wear a mask. Then everyone said, okay, and they got the vaccine. You had people like Robbie Suave of Reason, I believe, saying, hey, look, if I had to deal with the vax mandate or a mask mandate, I'd prefer a vax mandate because I don't want to wear a mask. And he got dragged for that. Why? Because how long did it take for them to say, okay, now we're mask mandating even if you are vaccinated? A lot of places are doing that. More red areas aren't. And I tell you this, man, as much as I do not like the Republican Party, the last bastion of freedom, the saving grace of individual rights and liberties, civil rights, it's the red states. Certainly ain't the blue states. They have become corrupt. What we are seeing in Australia, in New Zealand, in Germany, it's what nightmares are made of. It's what dystopian nightmares are made of. In New Zealand, Jacinda, what's her name? I'm not super savvy on New Zealand's political spaces. But this is Jacinda Ardern. That's her name. Her net worth as of November 4th last year was $800,000, and her net worth now is stated to be $25 million. I don't know if this is true. Seems to be some kind of meme. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but it's completely irrelevant. But that's her name, Jacinda. She outright says, listen to this.
So long as there's people who are eligible who haven't been vaccinated, we've got work to do. I don't think I'll ever be satisfied so long as there's someone who is eligible and hasn't been. And that's why I've said this, there's not going to be an endpoint to this vaccination program. Once we're rolling out boosters now. So we've got another, wave of people that we need to make sure that we're protecting again.
Protecting again? There's never going to be an end to this vaccine program. The people of New Zealand, man, you guys are pathetic. But I'll tell you this, if that's the society you want and that's what you're interested in? Okay. Far be it from me to tell the people of New Zealand how to live their lives. I'll certainly say that y'all are pathetic and stupid because we have seen where this leads throughout history. And those who do not remember history are doomed to repeat it. So by all means, New Zealand, carry on and enjoy what comes next. But that's their choice. I don't think I have any right to tell people in New Zealand how to live. So by all means, you guys do your things and we'll do ours. You don't like that we like freedom and we have guns? Well, whatever. That's our thing. And you don't have to live here. By all means, think it's crazy. That's fine. And that's reasonable and acceptable. But we'll do our thing. You do yours. It's fair to say, though, what's happening in the U.S. is getting dangerously close to what's happening in many of these countries. Take a look at this. I said, hey, the Nazis are back. We got this tweet. German police detain an elderly woman who didn't have her vax passport. The scene looks eerie. He misspelled eerie, but we'll let that one slide. Voice to text doesn't always work. Yeah, there's a little old lady in Germany, and the police are like, show me your papers. Sound familiar? Man, I thought it wasn't supposed to happen like this. I thought we knew there was no pretext by which we could allow the government to do this. You know what's funny? These people don't know the history and the context around concentration camps in Nazi Germany. Now, there were many different issues given or reasons stated as a pretext for shipping people off to camps. But I will tell you what it wasn't. They weren't walking up to Jewish people, to Polish people, to homosexual people and saying, we're going to take you to camp and kill you. Because people would resist. They wouldn't do it. Certainly some people probably knew. One of the pretexts for shipping people off was a typhus outbreak in the ghettos. We got to give you better accommodations. Oh, some people just, they're living in squalor and it's resulting in a dangerous, illness. Everybody get in the car. We'll take you somewhere safe. Wasn't the only reason. A lot of it was outright war, anti-Semitism, and it was overt in many ways. But there absolutely is tons of propaganda from the Nazis talking about how the Jewish people were carriers of disease. It was a lie. It was a trick to turn the population against them, to foment this kind of radicalized ideology, and then make the people of Nazi Germany okay with what they were doing. Many of the German people didn't even know what was going on. And I'll tell you this, there's a lot of things going on with the U.S. government we don't know either. So what do? I don't know. I can tell you that in New York City, it's probably the worst place for this. They've gone nuts with a mandate. We have good news on this front. Check this out from Daily Mail. Dozens of anti-vax demonstrators block roads outside of Mayor de Blasio's Brooklyn home after he unveiled plans to mandate employees at all private businesses, get the vaccine. Anti-vax? You see the dirty game they're playing? This is Daily Mail. Anti-vax demonstrators or anti-medical mandate demonstrators? You see, Merriam-Webster has changed the definition. They say anti-vaxxer now means someone who opposes government mandates. Sorry, I'm not quite sure what my policy positions have to do with my science positions. And I'll say it again, and I said it a lot. The mRNA technology, as outlined, is fascinating and good. It's brilliant, and it's going to lead to major breakthroughs that can cure tons of diseases. I'm a huge fan of the mRNA program, the research, all the things they've done. Huge fan. And if you go to the doctor and you want to get vaccinated and do whatever you want to do, do your thing. I'm not going to tell you what medicines you should or shouldn't take. In fact, I'm in favor of completely legalizing basically every single drug. Victimless crimes shouldn't be punished the way we're handling it. I do think maybe we can save money and replace imprisonment for people who are addicted to, health clinics and maybe helping some of these people. But that's on you. It's not my business. You go to the doctor says, here's what I recommend. You can trust them or not. That's your business. That means I'm against vaccines? No, it isn't. I think vaccines are fantastic. I got tons of them when I travel all over the world. They kept me alive. Awesome. But you know what I do oppose? The government forcing people to undergo medical procedures. That should be obvious. But you see what they say? Protesters chanted no vaccine mandates. Oh, my body, my choice. I thought they were anti-vax. Oh, they're just against government mandates for medical procedures. Interesting. The good news on this front, NYC vaccine mandate blocked by judge in blow to de Blasio. Bill de Blasio is an evil man. And I don't use the word evil lightly, but I've been using it more and more lately. Yeah. These people are evil. They know what they're doing. They know why they're doing it. Bill de Blasio is not, I'm not going to pretend like he's the smartest guy ever, but I can certainly tell you that this guy is at least aware that what he's doing makes little sense, that they're incrementing this on people against their will. And I will tell you that's, to me, that's what evil is. Selfish desire, manipulation, the extraction of people's value or let me put it this way. I believe that people are autonomous individuals with their own individual agency. I believe that the path towards a better future would be a well-informed populace making rational and reasonable decisions. I recognize, as someone who's been to major protests, who runs a company with many employees, and who has seen and been a manager at other companies, it can be tough because there are a lot of people who are real dumb but real arrogant. But I don't believe the solution is to punish and strip away human rights from people simply because you recognize that some people don't know some things. These elites, people like de Blasio, their attitude is, you're all stupid, I'm smarter than you, so do as I say. Now, they don't say it as overtly, but there's a funny thing here. There's this quote, I can't remember who it's from, but he basically says, if humans are so dumb that they need a powerful and intelligent leader, What separates that leader, who is also a human, from the rest of the pack? Effectively saying, people like de Blasio are also dumb as a box of rocks. The problem is their narcissism drives them to steal the reins of power, seize them, and then destroy people's lives. I'll tell you what I think. I think we do have an overpopulation problem. I don't think it's just a density problem. I certainly think density makes overpopulation worse, but man, you take a look at a satellite map. A lot of people don't get this. They look at a satellite map and they think all the green they see is trees. It's not. The trees are gone, stripped away and plowed to clear land for houses and suburban complexes, and it is massive. I mean, I don't have anything pulled up, but seriously, go to Google Maps, look at the East Coast, and zoom in. Find a plot of green and zoom in, and you'll be like, whoa, wait, what? This is just suburban housing? But it looks so green from outer space, from the satellites. Some of it is trees, the darker green stuff. But the point is, humans are a sprawling, baby. Sprawling and spreading. Look, go down to Argentina. Go down to Buenos Aires. Zoom out. Look how massive these concrete fields of rock. We are turning this planet into a giant rock, a hard-crusted shell. Now, what is the solution to this problem? Education. It is advocacy, honesty, and education. And I tell you this. I've had conversations with people about all of this, and we don't always come to agreement, but we certainly come to, we come to a certain agreement for the most part, that there are things we can do that we agree on to help mitigate these problems. Here's the issue. I can look at this, but I can't tell you that I have all the answers. And it would be extremely dangerous if I came out and said, we must take dramatic action to do X because we fear problem Y. And then it turns out I'm wrong. I'm just one dude. I haven't read anything. I don't have the summation of human knowledge in my head. I might have a phone that can Google it or DuckDuckGo it. But who am I? And that's why it's extremely important that I have a discussion with those who might disagree. We go over the facts and then come to an agreement. It's the wisdom of the crowds. A decentralized system is likely to be more robust and stronger. The command economy people, the authoritarians, the crackpot Nazis who want this lockdown are probably wrong. They're probably wrong. Because people are wrong. They aren't smarter than the collective hive of human, intelligence and knowledge. They think they are, though. They would seek to suppress the wisdom of the crowd in favor of their own personal beliefs. I assure you, Bill Gates has not read everything on the subject matter. I assure you, de Blasio hasn't either. In fact, it's very obvious based on their actions. They're not smart enough to handle this on their own. And Bill Gates, who is he to decide how we should be handling this? These individual leaders are not gods. None of us are. And that's why the best thing we can do is decentralized decision-making. Not 100%. I certainly think the Founding Fathers had a fantastic idea with this, but we do have a lot of people. How do we solve for this? Well, I certainly don't think hard depopulation is the answer. I think education and information is. But you're not getting that from the elites. You're getting force. They're saying it's time for the stick, and they're whacking people with it. People are getting angry. I'll tell you what this will lead to. There were riots all across Europe over this. You think you're going to be able to stabilize a nation by lying to people and beating them figuratively with the stick? Offer them the carrot. Say, here's what we can do. These elites are too arrogant. They don't believe that humans are capable of, they don't believe they're capable of it. They think that humans are just going to act like chickens. And you got to put them in the coop, and sometimes you got to cull their numbers. And I don't mean that literally. But I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of elites who are basically like, wanting to kill people. And I'll put it this way, too. Serial killers exist. Smart serial killers exist. Why wouldn't they ever find their way into positions of power to start wars and just kill people because they like the idea of killing? New York loses this one. A judge has blocked Bill de Blasio's crackpot, psychotic, and amoral actions. The problem is, however, these judges won't last forever. And the people are not speaking out and standing up. Now, some people are. Like I mentioned, there was a protest going on. Dozens. Dozens? That's it. Dozens. That's crazy. In a city of millions, only dozens come out and say, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. So where does this lead us? I'm fairly pessimistic. And one of the reasons is that there's no united front among the freedom-oriented individuals, the libertarian side of things. I mean, little L libertarian, which includes independents, moderates, post-liberal, classical liberals, conservatives. There's no unified front. You get controlled opposition. You get groups like Quillette, who's advocating for and defending internment camps in Australia under the guise of safety. Yeah, just like Nazi Germany. How do we push back? Honestly, I think we stand up. I think we get active in the primaries. Make sure you're voting out these incumbent Republicans. We may have lost many battles. We've won many battles, but the culture war is not over. I want to see a future much like Star Trek: The Next Generation. Classically liberal, but there is military hierarchy if you choose to join the Starfleet. Technological advancement to the point where people can basically have anything they want to eat whenever they want. And people seem to be relatively in shape, perhaps, when you don't have to worry about food. Many people just don't overeat, or the people who do, having access to unlimited food, don't really last that long, which is also kind of scary. But in Star Trek, in that vision of the future, there's oceanfront property. There's property, there's capital, there's wealth. Picard owns a vineyard. And the left tries to claim it's communist. Literally, it's not. They even have a currency. So anyway, not to get into the Trekkie stuff, my vision of a future is a well-informed population agreeing that there are certain forms of hierarchy, living peacefully with abundance and knowledge. Man, it sounds like paradise. A classically liberal paradise. And they've dealt with pollution and all these issues through technological advancement. How are we going to get to that point when you have crackpots destroying our economies under this Luddite ideological vision of returning people back to the woods? It's not. But I suppose that's their vision. They want 500 million people. They don't want 8 billion. And I can certainly understand that. There's way too many people, in my opinion. But I certainly think each and every one of these people has inalienable human rights. So the answer is certainly not culling. But there are challenges there. I'll be the first to admit it. We as humans recognize easily the problems of, deer overpopulation and hogs. People like to fly in helicopters shooting at hogs because we know what happens when there's too many. What happens when there's too many humans? Can the planet sustain billions of people? Me personally, I don't think so. But I'm not going to pretend to be the arbiter of morality to know or knowledge and know for sure, especially to the point where I would take a life or destroy someone's life. Now, we have to have a conversation about it because each human, they have human rights. The elites don't think so. But I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.